Rashida Tlaib is a Democrat United States representative from Michigan. Now, she is known as being one of the far more left-leaning representatives in the United States and has also been called out in the past for being fixated on the negative aspects of America rather than the positive. She's also been called out for being very much negative towards Israel, almost anti-Semitic in the past, and very pro-Islam, regardless of the world context or situation. With the recent events that have happened in Israel and Gaza, Americans have been looking to our government leaders for some clarity of thought and explanation on how we're going to respond. The clip I'm about to show you, I think, is very important. What you are going to see is an individual who is very unhinged and hypocritical, lacking any data or information for anything that she's actually saying. Please watch the entire clip, and then at the end, let me explain to you why this is so hypocritical and why this is so destructive for the United States citizens and the world as a whole.
Continue to watch people think it's okay to bomb a hospital where children. You know what's so hard sometimes is watching those videos and the people telling the kids don't cry. And like, let them cry. And they're shaking, and somebody, you know this, they keep telling them not to cry in Arabic. They can cry, I can cry, we all can cry. If we're not crying, something is wrong. And so I'm telling you right now, President Biden, not all America's with you on this one. And you need to wake up and understand that. We are literally watching people commit genocide and killing the vast majority just like this, and we still stand by and say nothing. We will remember this, but all of you, you need to know, I swear to God, Wahiyat Allah, you are on the right side of history. You're doing everything possible to save lives. What is wrong with that?
So there's a lot really wrong here. Now, if this situation was one in which Israel did in fact bomb a hospital with individuals in it, this response might be okay and actually sort of a heartfelt response for the people of Gaza. Unfortunately, this couldn't be further from the truth. So the news came out from Gaza that there was a hospital that had been bombed, and immediately Israel was blamed for it. With that news, Rashida Tlaib and her team could not wait to get a podium outside with audio hooked up, with a mic, an audience, and signs out there so that she could take advantage of this situation. Once again, to say very negative things towards Israel, nothing negative against Hamas, and then she also delivered some misinformation that was unfortunate for this event. We now know that it was not Israel that bombed a hospital. It was in fact Hamas. It was a rocket that Hamas was shooting from a cemetery a few hundred yards away from the hospital. They were shooting a volley of rockets towards Israel, and one of the rockets misfired, and it did not actually hit the hospital. It hit the parking garage next to the hospital. There is satellite image and video and audio all confirming this. At this point, it's not even really circumstantial. It's essentially 100% proven that this was Hamas. In fact, in the audio, the Hamas leaders are actually admitting to the fact that they did have a rocket that went errant and hit that garage. But what they did is they took this opportunity to immediately blame Israel for this. The media, especially the US media, took a hold of this information and then began to project it everywhere that Israel had bombed this innocent hospital, and now our representatives took it to action, to go out there and cry before the people, pleading these tears of look at what's happening at Gaza and look at what Israel's doing. Unfortunately, the Palestinians did this to themselves. Their own group, Hamas, bombed their own hospital, or at least close to the hospital. The really big problem here is when Rashida Tlaib was questioned about what Hamas did to Israel, killing upwards of 1,500 people, capturing 200 individuals as hostages, beheading babies, raping and killing women. She had nothing to say about it. Not one tear, no sadness, nothing. She didn't even really show any remorse. In fact, she hasn't even addressed it at all. To her, I'm not sure what she's thinking, but it comes off as somebody who simply doesn't care, is detached, doesn't want to hear about it, and most likely probably thinks that what happened to Israel is deserved to them because of quote unquote 72 years of occupation of Israel over the Gaza. But that, of course, is an oversimplistic view that has a lot of problems with it. When she heard news on the opposite end, that Israel had bombed Gaza, and now Palestinians were dying, she simply couldn't wait. She had to get out there, cry, and then issue this statement out against Israel. Unfortunately for her, once again, it was not Israel. It was the Palestinians who hit themselves. So now you had the Palestinians who killed a number of Israelis, and now the Palestinians are killing themselves. She also said some statements in there that were just factually untrue. Many are calling this genocide. This is not genocide. The Israeli army is not interested in killing civilians in Gaza. They are interested in eliminating Hamas. They want to get rid of that threat. Now, I will grant you this. It cannot be an easy situation in Gaza. If millions of people are moving from the north to the south, it is going to be putting a lot of pressures on their food and water supplies, medical supplies, and others. Unfortunately, the people in Gaza have supported Hamas. There are reports coming out that the people of Gaza, the Palestinians, don't like Hamas and they don't support Hamas, but Hamas has taken advantage of this situation and a stronghold over these people. This is simply not true. This is very obvious over the last decade. We've seen the support for Hamas from the Palestinian people. They have voted in leaders from Hamas into their own government, and they celebrate the actions of Hamas. If you look at any video or any interviews from any leaders, Palestinian non-Hamas leaders from the Gaza Strip, it is very clear and obvious that they are supporters of Hamas because they believe that Israel has been occupying them and mistreating them for 72 years. So of course they're okay with this. They've kind of done this to themselves, but it doesn't mean that these individuals should suffer. However, Rashida Tlaib has the duty to come out when she is questioned about this and to apologize for saying that Israel did this. And she really needs to come out and she needs to say that Hamas is wrong and what they are doing is wrong. And the best thing that they can do is lay down their arms, surrender, and give up, and allow the Palestinian people of Gaza to have another free and fair election where they can put in individuals who are not going to push for such terroristic actions against another nation state. And perhaps, if this happens, more freedom, more liberty, more values, more morals for those individuals, we might be able to see a situation where we can have Israel and the people of the Gaza Strip start to figure out how to move forward in the future. But when you put terrorist organizations in charge, it's never going to happen. And when you have leaders in the United States of America pushing out misinformation and not waiting for the real data to come in and issuing statements like this, factually incorrect and in support of terrorist organizations, there's no way to move forward on this. I would love to know your thoughts on this. Hopefully it brings more clarity to this situation, especially in the light of our representatives in the United States government. As always, I'll catch you on the next one.